Hello, interwebs. All right. Yes, desk demo mode. I like the look of that. Look at that. There you go. How's that for cool, huh? How's that for a setup? Hello, everybody. Oh my God, I am day 3 of a migraine. It's driving me freaking nuts. Is it 3, day 4? I don't even know. It's freaking crazy. Let's see if I can do this. Does this make a difference? Oh, I like that, but that's not quite what I'm. That's how I feel, but that's not what I should look like. There you go. Um, yeah, day 3 of a migraine, and it's driving me crazy. It's not even so bad because I've Tylenol the crap out of it, but I'll tell you, it just messes with your head. I just don't. My already fuzzy brain is even fuzzier. So we'll see how we do. We'll see how we do. I am very cozy. Yes, it's true, Captain Catherine. I am very cozy. I've got my fuzzy. My fuzzy sweater on. Fuzzy sweater, little hoodie. It makes me look like Papa Smurf. I think it has a Papa Smurf look to it. So that's my. That's this is exactly how I feel right now, like a slightly sick Smurf. Anyways, what have I got to say? I've got to say Snorlax is not a laxative. Thank you very much. Hello, my friend, and hello to you. Snorlax is not a laxative, just to be very clear. Who else we got? Doctor N PhD. Oh yes, Doctor N PhD. You are going to be just having to chew your own nails off and pull your hair out as I butcher the process of plant genetic engineering. Captain Catherine, thank you very much for the subscription. You are fantastic. I have had such a day at work. Looking forward to the stream and to relax. Oh, good. Okay, I'm glad I can do the work now. You just kick back. I'll do the work from here. Wormhole 42. Watching this in silence reminds me that I need to add some tunes to my opening scene. I know. I had it for a while. There was this music thing that Streamlabs, I think because I was paying for it, I think there was something there, which I should probably go back to that because they've got a lot of fun things. Nightbot is reminding us that Gimpy G, yes, still could use some cash, so why not throw some his way? And go for Fluffernut, and hello to you, and hello Lebu, and hello Alicia. Hello Alicia. Travaro, I said Wormhole, I've said Wormhole already. Jotun Mike. No way is my favorite person on the internet streaming just as I am building my 3D printer with nothing to watch in the background. Well, I'm back. And I'll tell you, I've just had a 3D failure, which sucks, and it's entirely my fault. I'll show you. I won't show you what it is because it's a surprise from Wexter. But I started printing this, and it's my own silly damn fault. The filament got caught about, what are we in? We were about a day into this printing of this thing, and a day into printing. See, what am I going to give anything away if I show you that? No, but a day into printing this, and I failed because of the damn filament catching. So I'm gonna I'll redo that. It's just a drag because I wanted to get it out a little earlier. But anyway, so lots going on here. And in my fuzzy migraine way, I'm muddling through. That's what I'm doing. Dr. N PhD, I would have to say, I have not been keeping track. Have you been streaming? Dr. N PhD is like James Gurney, a friend of James Gurney, I believe, even actually knows what he's doing or they're doing with this whole biology, microbiology stuff. Microbiology, macrobiology, molecular biology. I'm not even sure what the term would be. Biology. Let's just go biology for that. Real scientists there. And has a stream that when the sound works, because it's nice to know that I'm not the only person who has difficulty with the sound. It is a Pokemon. I just came in to hear that. It's a Pokemon. Oh, we back on Snorlax again? Is that where we're at? Okay. There you go. So Snorlax is not a laxative. Has subscribed. Thank you very much, Snorlax. I don't know why on earth you're so kind, but I'll take it. Thank you very much. Mathematica says, I watched a video this morning of a person who 3D printed chainmail. I've done that. Not a whole chainmail, but let me show you. I got some of that actually Do I still have it? Or did I give it away? Oh, I might have given it away. God, I'm such a sucker. God, I'm such a sucker for those kids. I think I've given it away. Oh wow, 100%. Snorlax, what are you doing? I honestly thought when you first showed up, you were just here to troll, and that I was going to enjoy trolling with you. But instead, you've just gone crazy and given everyone. Thank you so much. Wow, everybody, give Snorlax a big thank you. That's fantastic. Fraser Taser, thank you very much. Holy, what is going on? Goran Faith, hello. How are you, first time chatter? And Dezibrin is also. You got a sub from Snorlax. Wow. Oh, fantastic. Mecha DM, boy, what is going on? Who are all you people, and why are you being so damn kind? It's not. I'm too confused now to make anything of this. Cassini returns. Thank you very much. All right, let's get on with this. So there's a few things on the agenda for today. Before I bring the Tech Bandits in, I thought, I suppose I could bring the Tech Bandits in, and by Tech Bandits I mean my fabulous Vibe Pup. But I'm thinking about, oh my God. Whoa, anonymous gifter. Thank you. Holy mother of anonymous gifting. Wow. What is it about? Today's like what? Like terrific Tuesday for being nice to sickly streamers. Yeah, there's a bunch of news things that I wanted to touch on today because I thought there was some interesting stuff going on. The one that's just hit me recently, I started looking up some stuff. I started looking up some stuff about gaming. Wow, voice cries out. Thank you very much. I started looking up some stuff about gaming because of this Nintendo shop closing down. Jesus Christ, JC Slice, what is going on? Is this like the time of the month where everything subscribes or something? What is going on? It is crazy in here. Thank you very much. I can't get a word in edgewise because people are throwing money at us. I think that is, I can't really complain, can I? But thank you. Who was the last one? I missed the last one. What was the last one here? What is that? WAN jockey? Is that a WAN jockey there? Oh my God, have I never felt or looked so old? I can't read, the text is too small. Babylonia? Who are all you people? But thank you. Today's a payday. Not more me though, sad. What? Not more me though, sad. I sense your sadness. That's all I've got. It's updating from the gifts subs. Oh, I see. Is that what it is? Oh, that's what's going on. Yes, Cal, I am a confused boomer. Thank you very much. Although I'm not a boomer yet. No, I will never be a boomer. I'm too damn young for it. Hello, Cal. Everyone, huge hello and thanks to Cal. Wow, Snorlax is throwing bits at us as well. Wow, diamondy bits. Thank you. Fate Full Dissect. Hi, I want to offer promotion. Oh boy. Oh boy. Is Cal gonna lay down the hammer? As soon as I see promotion, I'm assuming that's just some kind of an ad thing. But yes, I feel very old and confused right now. Thank you, Cal. So I went to look up this gaming stuff because the Nintendo store was closing. We had a Wii U. I've still got it on the shelf somewhere, and a 3DS, and of course they were all the latest and greatest things at the time. Well, their online store is closing down, and one of my biggest frustrations with gaming is these digital downloads, because I am the most impatient man alive, and I like to have things right away. So we always loved downloading a game right away when there was a game we wanted to play, but I always sort of was a little reticent because I thought, I want the hard copy, because the hard copy I can resell. Because, you stop playing a game. I just thought, what a waste to just basically just throw that money away. And also, this, who knows? Maybe someone else wants to play the game. So I started looking. I thought, by now, surely someone has figured out how to do it. Well, no, there's still not a lot of companies out there that can do this stuff properly. And then I was in gaming news, and I saw this new Harry Potter game. And I really enjoyed the Harry Potter books. The movies were okay, but the books I really enjoyed. And they have a sort of I have a soft spot in my heart for them because my wife and I were, when we met up, we were both reading those books. But I saw there's this huge, well, when I say huge, it's probably just Twitter, but there's just a big issue right now with people streaming the game and people who don't think they should have bought the game because of things that J.K. Rowling have said. I just never would have thought in my, when I read those books, I can't imagine anything more sort of open and positive and sort of welcoming to all people of all, every shape and size. And it's just so funny to me to see that a game release like this about Harry Potter has such a huge sort of political and sort of and controversy to it. I guess she's said some anti-trans stuff, and that's translated into a lot of sort of blowback from that community about the game and stuff. But I just thought it was an interesting dilemma that I was completely unaware of until I went to the game news. But the whole point of going to the game news was I wanted to find out what the deal with digital downloads was, because I thought for sure they would have sorted this out by now. Like surely they would have come up with some good system where you could buy and sell digital assets and digital versions of the games, and I haven't been able to find anything. So if anyone's got any information on that, please let me know. There were a couple of websites I found. I threw them in the email of awesomeness this week, which you should subscribe to, by the way. And but I don't know anything about them. I don't know if they're any good or not. And they all seem very sort of. It all seems a little sus, a little scammy. You know what I mean? All right, let me walk you through some of this Odin plant genetic engineering kit, if I make any sense. I really am. It's struggling for words right now, which is just frustrating. Desk demo mode. Let's do that. All right, let me show you what I've got here. And excuse my sound here. I do have a mic set up over there, but I don't think I think we're going to get into horrible echoey situations if we... Well, wait a second. Maybe I could... Can I do this? Razor? No. I wonder if I can bring in the sound from the ATM. Wait a second. Will you get sound if I do that? Tell me if I get an echo on this, okay? Tell me if I get an echo. All right, I'm going to go over here. Properties. No, I don't want that. That's got sound. No echo yet? No one's got any echo? Microphone. No. I'm wondering if I can add it. I don't think it's letting me do it. Oh, I know, because I probably don't have it set up on the other thing. Well, look, let me try this one. I'm gonna move it over here. It won't be the crispest of sounds, but at least you'll get a sense of it. I've got my wireless headphones on, so that should work. Okay, so let me see if I can add this over here. Let's see if I can do this. This might be fun. You'll be able to see all that going on. That's fine. This mic here. All right. How's that? Okay, so there's definitely sound coming through this mic. Is it being fed to you is the question. Let's have a look. It would just be nice to have... It would be nice to have the sound right there if I can. Thanks again, Snorlax. Is this an episode where I'm de-evolved? Yeah, basically. Basically, I feel like I've got some kind of a parasite in my brain right now, that's for sure. Is that the USB cable sitting next to the mic? Could be. Very good chance. No, it's plugged in over there. I think it's plugged in. Okay, but the ATM, I'm not seeing anything on the ATM coming in. So let's see if this is something that I can do. Microphone, speakers, Razer key. Okay, so that's it. Is there something I need to know here? Sync offset. Download to mono. No. Audio monitoring. Is that going to work? I think this may be too much of a pain. Will Jane let me buy another mic? Well, not on Amazon. I'm not allowed anything on Amazon right now. Oh, wait a sec. Sources. Should I add another? Oh, I wonder if I add a source, an audio source here. That makes sense. Let's try this. Okay. Boy, this is like a Barnacle stream. Screen capture sources, brown sources, widgets. No. Is there an audio source? Audio input capture. That sounds about right. Boy, my brain is not letting me on this one. Let's see if this works. I'm going to say this is my Mac. This is the Mac mic. Mac mic. All right, I'm going to add that to it. Let's see about that. And that will be the Mac mic. Does that work? Device is going to be, I wonder, is it this one? See if that does anything. All right. All right, let's try that. Do you have any more audio? Is there an extra audio going? No, there isn't. I don't see anything extra. As long as it's magic mic. All right. Okay, there's that mic, but I don't see this ATM one, which I would have thought would have the audio going. Audio output mode, output desktop. I don't know. That's interesting. Audio device is a microphone. Is it a microphone? I think it counts as a microphone. That is definitely not doing anything. Okay, well let's not. I'm scared to mess with it, so let's just get rid of that. Wait a second. I added that. Microphone. Mac mic. I think I'm just gonna turn that off too, just in case. The Razer Kiyo is off. The ATM Pro is off. Okay, you know what? Here's the deal. We're gonna use this. We're gonna use this mic here. We're gonna hope that you'll be able to hear me enough. You'll have to let me know. In fact, I might even pull you up on this phone so I could see what the chat's doing, because that could be good. Yeah, I think that could work. And then let's get this back in its output mode, like I like. Here we go. Preview scaling, preview projector. There you go. Okay, so that should go full screen. There you go. Great. Okay, we're back. How is that for sound? Is it terrible for sound? I can't see it. Can't see it. No, that's good. Can't see it. I could plug this one in instead, maybe. I wonder. This is one of those things. I felt like I sort of had a handle on it, but then of course you start. It's okay. It can hear you fine. It's okay if we just turn up our speakers. Okay, wait a second. Let me see if I get. All right. I have maxed up the gain on that, so hopefully, we're going to sound okay. You're going to be able to get a sense of it anyways from this. That mic is not working, so there's no point in having it there, but it's going to be stuck in the way because I don't want to mess with anything. Okay, so these are these kits. This is an Odin plant genetic engineering kit, and I've already done a bunch of the stuff. What I've done is I haven't created anything. I've mixed up a bunch of stuff, like a recipe, basically this is like cooking. I mixed up this. It is an agrobacteria which would normally cause, I think basically it would just cause tumors or whatever it is, tubers. I don't know what the term is on plants and stuff. This one has been genetically engineered already by the folks at the Odin to have a ruby plasmid in it, which means that it's being tricked into, instead of creating these tumor things, these bumps on plants, it's instead creating a red, or like a ruby colored. I'm not sure what the term would be. Protein of some sort. I don't know. But basically, you inject it into the leaves. The leaves will take on these cells, and then these cells will tell the cells of the leaf to produce red pigments instead of the green pigment. So I did a little test to start, just because I wanted to get a sense of what was involved. I did I did hit myself in the face with the agrobacteria a couple of times, so we'll see how that goes. But yeah, literally, because you're basically taking a syringe. You're taking a syringe, and you are forcing this material under the leaves. And the ones that I've worked on already. Hey, where's my? I'm missing one of my plants. I'm missing the key plant. Where's my? I've left my tobacco plant somewhere. I'll be back in a second. I just need my tobacco plant. Aw, you poor baby. Was left outside. I left you out of the room. You're the most important part of this, and I left her outside. Okay, so what I did the other day was I tested by putting a little bit of this material in the leaf. I don't know if you can see just the corner of the screen there. Into this section of the leaf here. I think I put it into a little bit of section of this leaf as well. Just in this little bit here. There's a little heart-shaped portion of the plant, and I thought it'd be kind of fun to try to fill in those lines and have like a Valentine's Day tobacco plant. I don't know how romantic that is, but here, honey. And if it dies, she can wrap it up and smoke it. I also tried to put it into the bamboo. I believe the bamboo was the one that shot back in my face and hit me. Same thing with these. So it's hard to get through these slightly more waxy plants. I find it difficult. I thought, hey, crazy guy, why not take a needle and try injecting it into these plants, into some of the hardier plants. The ferns took it up okay. Honestly, the one that surprised me the most was this little coffee plant, which my poor unsuspecting mother gave me. And I tried putting it under that, and it just sucked it up. So we'll see. I also look like I may have killed it in the process. I think the coffee plant I think is a little more sensitive, so it's possible I've killed that. But anyway, so I've started doing that, but I just thought I'd show you what the deal is. The other thing about this stuff is, and I don't know, maybe Dr. N, PhD, or James Gurney can tell us this, perhaps, whether this stuff is normally so smelly, because this is some stinky, this agrobacteria is stinky like the glow-in-the-dark jellyfish stuff was not. So I'm sorry I can't communicate more. I don't have a way of getting onto the chat right now. I can just sort of see things happening. So let me, so I'll have to come back and revisit stuff on the chat later. But okay, so let's do this. Let me mix up a little bit more of this stuff. So I've got this injection media here, and this is just water, and I don't know what the material is that I've mixed with it, which I'm a little embarrassed by, but maybe on the instructions it'll say what it was. But you mix it with this stuff. That's scientific, isn't it? Mix it with the stuff. I mix the agar, that's the agar. The agar is just a medium, like basically a bed of food for these things to grow on, and boy, it works well. This is the agrobacteria tube. Okay, so I'm taking that. I'm adding it to the water. Did I do that? Okay. Oh no, I take some of this, mix it with the agrobacteria that I'm going to scrape from these pipettes. But where's the water stuff that I just mixed up? Is this water one? Oh, is this it? It says prepare injection media, but I don't see what the injection media is. Does it have a list of things in it? Oh, here you go. Okay. All right. No, there's the plant, which is a tobacco plant. There's the agrobacterium, which has the ruby plasmid. Agar. It just says injection media concentrate. I don't know what that is. I'd love to know what that is. If anyone knows what the injection media concentrate would be, that would be fantastic. Because that's what I've mixed up here, right here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to steal a bit more of this agrobacteria, and it's really stinky. I was going to wear a mask, but you'll never hear me if I got my mask on, because it's just, whew, it smells like, what does it smell like? It's a weird kind of like a rotting baby food smell to it. And let me get you a new one of these. Okay, so this is my bacteria that seems to be growing quite nicely. And yesterday's, the test one that I did, I scooped up a whole bunch of this stuff. I couldn't get over how much. Look at that. I mean, I've already scooped out a whole chunks of this stuff. I wonder if I should use the same one. It looks like it's doing so well. Maybe I'll do that, or maybe I should try this new one, which I haven't opened up. I haven't opened this one up, so maybe I'll do this one. I'll do this one today. All right. And I've been keeping them in the box because, as I say, the stink. He's a stinky. So the plan is this. The plan is to take. Well, that's the other thing I want to do is I've got a bunch more of these petri dishes of agar. I thought I would maybe just take a little bit of the stuff that's growing, put it on there, and see if I can get it to just keep it going a little bit, so I can keep the basement nice and stinky for as long as possible. So, how do I do this again? I've forgotten. Oh, right. I need like a little tube. Hang on, I'll be back in a sec. There you go. Okay. Right. This other tube. I forgot about the other tube. And I'm just going to take this. Okay, so I have to mix this agrobacteria with this injection medium, and it actually tells me exactly how much to do that with. So let me find that out. Take the freeze dry tube, add the water. I've done that. I've already done that stuff. Now I want to take the injection medium. Okay, so I'm going to take my filler. We've done that. Yeah. Add 4 milliliters of diluted injection media to a 15 milliliter tube. That's this tube here. Okay. All right, so 4,000, basically 4,000. I believe it's I think it's microliters, mLs, I guess. It's 4,000 ULs, whatever that means. 4 microliters is going to go into this little container. And I'm going to do that by doing this. Oh, you know what I should do? I should probably put on gloves, and I should probably just. I don't know how much to use in the way of alcohol and stuff. Let me tell you, how much alcohol should I be using to make this stuff? How much alcohol I should be using to clean things up? Because I don't want to then inject any of that into the plant, because I'm assuming that'll kill the plant very quickly. But let me get my spray, and I will just. There we go. A little bit of. There we go. Okay, so I'm at least fairly clean in this process. Now, so I'm going to take 4,000 microliters of this. Oh God, I forgot how hard it was to get this thing on. Okay, hang on a second here. Let's take this. There we go. Okay, so 4,000 milliliters of this stuff. Can we sort of see what's going on? Let me see if I can move it somewhere where you can actually see it. I trade places with that. Will I see that a little bit more? Not really. Thank you, tobacco plant. You are, now that you're here, you're so in the way. There we go. Okay, so there's this. And then we'll take this. So I'm going to take my little pipette. Oh my God, the pipette thing is so cool. It really makes you feel like you're doing. It's like being on a movie set where they bring out the really big lights. You bring this out, it just feels like you're actually doing something. I'm sure I'm screwing it all up. But again, I apologize to any real scientists out there. I am just really enjoying this whole process. So here we go. I take my pipette. Put them over there. And I'm going to take 4,000, so four little capfuls of this stuff, and put it in this tube here. So here we go. Okay. And that is going to be... Okay. There's 4,000. So 1/4 is 1,000. Everyone count with me. 2. 3. And 4. All right. 4 of that. Okay. I can go over there. Put a lid on just to keep things from dropping into it, like me talking. This can go back in the fridge, because apparently I can still use it. So I'm going to pop that back in the fridge. Back in a second. Wretched thing wouldn't stand up. Okay, so now it's standing up in the fridge. That's ready with that. This is my agrobacteria, so I'm going to place that here so we can see it. And what I'm going to do now is I'm going to scoop up a little scoop of this stuff. I'm going to actually clean this off because I did use this the other day, and I want to make sure I've cleaned that off properly. Okay, I'm going to let that dry so it doesn't kill anything in the process. So what I'm now going to do is I'm going to scrape up some of this agrobacteria that's been genetically modified with this ruby plasmid. And a plasmid's basically the way that they get these things into the bacteria, I think. It's basically like a little bubble of material that these things can be sort of convinced to make use of. And again, I'll go through and get all of this right when I talk to real scientists about it later. Right now, I just want to sort of go through the Lego approach that I have here to this stuff and see what we can get away with. Oh, and I'll also grab a needle here. James, like, why are you ordering hypodermic needles? I'm like, no reason. Because I thought it'd be kind of fun to try. I don't think it'll work, and I think the Odin people said that they tried injecting stuff and it hadn't worked in the past, but I just thought it'd be fun to give it a go because, I'm an evil scientist. So, I might want to maybe I want to clean this out too, actually. Give me a second. Let's do this. There we go. Okay, that's all nice and clean too. Okay, again, I don't know how deadly clean this needs to be. I'm assuming that putting alcohol in a plant would probably kill it pretty quickly, I imagine. Maybe I should just get a new needle. Wouldn't that be bad? Probably be smarter. Okay, getting a new needle. Here we go. Ah, good. See, I love the Odin. They give you more than one of everything. It's like they know I'm going to screw stuff up, so they give you a couple of extra ways of doing this stuff. So, okay, so there's a brand new one. Put that over there. So that'll be ready to go as well. And now let's mix up some crazy agrobacteria. How's that doing? Is that dry yet? Okay, that's not dry either. I'm gonna go get a new one of these as well. Cause I'm trying to be. I'm trying not to waste a lot of stuff, but at the same time, it seems that a lot of this lab stuff, you just want to make sure you don't have anything else in there screwing things up. So let me get in here, and I'm going to just take this so it's ready to come off. So I'm ready to put that in there. Is that what I did? Did I do the right thing there? All right, I've got that in there. Yeah, okay, great. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to try to get a full loop. If you can see that there's a little loop on the end there. So I'm going to try to fill that with this stinky agrobacteria. Here we go. And you want to just do this without taking the agar with it. That's the base stuff. So I'm going to try to, look at that. Oh, yeah. Yummy, yummy. Look at, oh, boy. Can't wait to get in a plant, I'll bet, huh? Oop, shoot. I've just done exactly what I said don't do. Scrape the agar. Okay, that's plenty. It's got to be tons there. Okay, so I'm going to take that off. That goes in there. Lid goes back on that. I shake this in. Get all the grody little bits off it. Yeah. God, I never thought I would find this interesting, but it is so cool. I really didn't. I had no idea. I always thought I would only be, the hardware silicone guy. That it was the technology was metal. And now I'm all into this sort of the squishy tech in a way that maybe as I get older and squishy, the tech that I get interested in is more squishy as well. Okay, so there's that. Don't really want to get that everywhere because it's stinky. And now what I'm going to do is gently shake it to try to break up all the little pieces in it. So what I've got now then basically is a solution of this agrobacteria and whatever that delivery material is that I've been given. And I think they said something about vanilla or something. I don't know if that was in relation to this or not. But and again, please do not. This is purely me having fun. This is not legitimate science that I'm aware of. This is these fabulous The Odin folks are doing their utmost to turn me into a legitimate biohacker of some sort, and I am happy to try this stuff out for them. I would not to say that I haven't paid for a bunch of these myself, but they were very kind. They sent me this kit themselves. So that looks pretty. Not a lot of bits that I can see in there. Are there? Can't really tell. I guess there's a bit down the bottom there. Let's see if that works. Let me get that out of there. Okay, there we go. All right, that looks pretty good. Oh no, there is a bit in there, huh? You know, there's one little bit that just does not want to break up. But okay, well, that's good enough. So, and now what you're gonna do, and by you I mean me, I'm gonna take my little new needle, and I'm going to suck up a bit of this stuff. Right? Okay, I'm just gonna suck up. I think they said 5, well, 0.5, I guess, on this little needle here. 0.5 of whatever that is. Is it? Yeah, there's a vanilla smell to it. It's kind of a really nice vanilla-y smell to it. And then what I'm going to do is I'm just going to look for a leaf that I haven't done yet, that I haven't already tried to kill. Have I tried to kill this one? I don't think I have. That already looks pretty sad. But let's try to... So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this, I'm going to put this, and I'm just going to find the right... Look at that. See the way that actually worked really well. There is definitely a knack to this. Definitely. And what you want to do is apply just enough pressure that it gets into under the plant, and you can sort of see it because it'll... I'm trying to save some of this as I go. You'll see because it gets darker. See where it's got darker in there? Those little bits are... you can sort of see the fluid is injecting its way in there. Oh, yeah, look at that. And you'll find some areas better than others. And I'm just trying to save some of this material as I go here. All right, let me see. Yeah, I don't know if I should be sucking this back up again, but I am. And so what I'm trying to do, again, is just find areas... Oh, look at that. See? That's where you got to be careful because it comes spraying back at you, by the way. So this will hopefully get in there and start tricking this leaf, this tobacco leaf, into putting out some ruby red colors where it's supposed to be green. This could be fun because it's just like a giant heart, this one. And I'm just trying to fill as much of this section as I can with this material. Oh, I think I just went through the... See, that's what I'm trying not to do. So I'm trying very hard not to puncture the plant. But holy cow, that stuff disappears pretty quick. Most of it onto my table, I think. I think I'm going to have a stinky office for a while. If I can get my... All right, there we go. It's kind of neat. I want to save a little bit to try some injecting. But you get the idea. That's what we're doing here. So we're in here trying to get this thing to just take up this medium. And I think I'm beginning to get a hang for how much pressure. Because it really is, it's about the pressure here. Under pressure, pushing down on you. All right, so there you go. So I've got a very spotty little heart outline here, and we'll see how the plant reacts to that. As I say, I'm sure I've done something wrong. This one from yesterday is already looking a bit sad. Apparently, I've chosen the wrong leaf to do too. By the way, apparently you're supposed to use the newer the leaves, the better. But I've already done a little bit of this one, so I don't want to mess with it. I could try to get something in there, maybe. You want to just get a little tip of the other one in there and see if we can get a little bit of that. Again, I want to try to save some for an actual needle, because that would change what I was doing yesterday. So I'm gonna rotate this plant around so I've gone the bottom side of the leaf. Is that the bottom side of the leaf? I think that's the bottom side. And I'm going to try to just... Did not take at all. All right, well, there you go. There's a little bit in there, I think. I'll try that. Just a little tip there. Ah, it's gonna. Not sure it's gonna take that. Anyways, so there you go. An attempt at that. So what was? I thought it might be kind of fun. Like, what if I try to inject some of this stuff into? I'm not sure this needle will even let me do it. It may be too small. So what if I inject? How do you get these things off? Is there a trick there? Open, open. Okay, I'm trying. Yeah, I'm trying. Yeah, I'm opening it. Is there? Are these like child-proof? Are they actor-proof? These are actor-proof needles. It says open. Come on. All right, I need a stabby thing. I was going to use my teeth, but I think that could be a bad idea. There we go. I'll get some scissors. All right. Even the scissors don't want to cut it. Okay. I'm through. Okay. So what I thought is this has a little tiny needle on the... Which end? On which end does it have a little tiny needle? I think it's this end. There you go. Little tiny needle. I thought maybe I can... Oh, okay. Maybe I can take a little bit of this medium and actually inject it into the bamboo plant, because that is a plant that it doesn't seem to want to get into. Oops, doesn't seem to want to get into otherwise. Oh, well, it's going in. Yeah, it's definitely. Is it? There's some in there. There's definitely some in there. Okay, so let's pop that back on there. And I have no idea. Oops, I almost jabbed myself with that. I have no idea if this is... In fact, I think the Odin said it doesn't work. But I just thought it'd be kind of fun. Like, what if you could inject it, like, in the base here? Right? Can we put it somewhere where you can see what's going on, maybe? Put that over there. I'll probably kill most of my plants in the process of doing this stuff. I just thought it'd be kind of fun to have, like... See if it could, like, get it at a joint here and see if it'll actually go in and... Okay. Oh, it does not want to go in. Well, it's trying. It's trying. Okay, it's done that a little bit. I'm going to try to go in this side as well. It's going out again. All right. Who knows? Like, who the frick knows what's going to happen? I doubt it'll probably just kill my plant. But at the same time, I think we might actually, if it works, it'd be kind of cool. I'm trying to get more of this stuff in the needle this time. There we go. That's a little more, ooh, boy, that's a little better. Okay, and again, I got to try not to stab myself while I do this. So yeah, I just thought, since I can't get, when I try to put it in the plant leaf, it basically just sprays back in my face, is what happens. So, if I could try to do that. Can we try to go under the... Oh! Wow, just fired that across the room. I don't know. We'll see if this actually gets in there. I'm glad I went with such a small needle. Oops. I'm glad I went with such a small needle. And that I haven't jabbed myself in the hand yet. I think I'm just going to put up... I think I'm just putting holes in it at this point. All right, I'm going to put one more little bit in here. Because I can. Okay. Is there anything else I want to inject with this? Why not? Why not? Because we've got it right here. Ooh, I wonder what this would do. Does this work, do you think? Let's try a bit of this, too. Put it right in there. Right in the meaty part. See if that's going to work. There we go. Wow. That, I mean, unless that's just filled up a, well, okay, we'll see if that works. Okay, I've got one last little bit. What should we do? Should we do why don't we do this spider plant here? See what we can get out of that. All right, I'm taking up the last of this, I think. We'll see. If I say that. I can't, I feel like this is a poor choice of. All right, what else can I inject? I feel like I feel like a mad scientist. What else can I get? All right, I've done that. I haven't done that yet. Let's just give that a go. See what happens. I doubt highly that this will make any difference to anything, but I'm just thinking maybe we can get into the leaf with the needle in a way that you can't get. Ah, shoot. So I'm trying to make as few holes as possible, but still struggling to get in there. Yeah. All right. See what happens. We'll try it from this side as well, just in case that makes a difference. Okay. All right. I don't know that that's gone in. I don't buy that that's in there, to be honest. I mean, we could try injecting a little bit of the tobacco leaf as well. I mean, what happens if you sort of get this part here, this nice little juicy part? Get some in there. Oh wow. Oh wow. Definitely fills up. Wow. Okay. This may be worth looking at because it's definitely filling it up. Huh. Definitely filling it up. I wonder if it would work on the smaller little pieces here. Again, hopefully without. See if that works. All right, we've definitely made some mess. What about this baby? What's the deal on this? This one, I wonder if I can try doing just the under. Just do the under leaf approach. Although this might have been the one that squirted me in the face last time, so let me just get the last of this out. Okay. Take it up with this. That's it. That's the last of it. All right. So apparently nice young fresh leaves. Let's see what happens if I try to get them into this. Might have. A little bit. Might have got in there. I don't know. Ooh, that's spraying everywhere. That's it. That's all I got. I don't know that I got enough on there, but we'll see. Okay, so do a little bit of a cleanup, just because I don't think I should have needles of agrobacteria around anywhere. So, oh, there's still a bit left in there. What else could I do? What other evil things could I do? Do you want to try this coffee plant again? The coffee plant was quite good. I wonder if I could take this off and just go with the needle itself. I guess not. The coffee plant really took it up nicely when I injected it the other day under the leaf. But I guess let's try just doing this into the plant itself. There we go. It's going into the stem. Okay. Why don't we try into the leaf a little, maybe? Nope, that's not going anywhere. Isn't this like watching paint dry? I'll be with you again in a second, folks. Oh, so I just find this really cool. Okay. Last little bit. Try to get back in there again. I like the idea of that. Here we go. Okay, so the coffee's being done too. So we'll see. I mean, look, as I say, I can kill a plant even without genetically engineering anything. So there's a good chance. Is this what I want? In there? It is. Okay, so I've covered that up. I'm going to take these off. I'm going to close that up. I'm going to put my stinky agrobacteria. Oh, no, I'm not. Before I do that, I'm going to take a couple of these plates. I'm going to mix a couple of plates. Here we go. Because I've got 3 more plates here that I think would be fun to get the aggro growing on that, because I can then just keep it going. That plate did not work very well, but I'm going to use it anyways. Okay, so I've got the agrobacteria that I was just doing here. So I'm going to scrape some of this here. And I'm just going to put it, oh, there you go. Oh, there you go. Enjoy your new home. Isn't this great? Yay, look. Nummy, nummy. Okay, so there's that. Let me just take this. Same thing. This is a horrible Petri plate that I did. That was really terribly, terribly done. Okay, and last but not least, boy, oh boy. I'm trying not to breathe or talk on it. This is probably going to grow more of things from my face than it is from my... There we go. Okay, so those 3 I've got to remember are the new ones, which I will remember because they're the only ones I have left. So let me do a little quick cleanup, and I will be with you back in 1 second. Please talk amongst yourselves. All right, the migraine man is back, and I'm just going to put my stinky bacterias back in the stinky box. Okay, stinky box. Whew, it really is stinky. Maybe it's not supposed to be stinky. I'll have to ask. I'm going to check with the chat now. I'll be back with the chat in 1 moment. There we go. Okay. Gloves are off. Okay, that's it. The gloves are off, mister. Okay, rest of the cleanup happens after. I'm coming in. I'm going to have a seat. I'm going to drink my drink in the hopes of getting rid of more of this damn headache. I got to turn this down a little bit because I'm probably quite hot now. All right. I'm going to knock things off my desk. What are the hot fixes? What is that? Oh, that sucks. I don't want hot fixes messages. I hope that wasn't up for too long. Let's go to me. So, that done. I'm really curious to see how that's going to work. I would be amazed if any of it works, to be honest, but we'll see. They seem to make the goal of these things is to try to make them so that they're kind of idiot proof, so that they're designed for me and actors. Shouldn't he be wearing a mask for safety reasons? I guess, maybe. Yeah, let's hope the smell doesn't make my headache worse. Okay, James Gurney says, yeah, Gimpy G. Is this genetic engineering definitionally? Sort of. I believe in your science, David. Oh, Dr. N, PhD, that's very cute. If you inject the plants with steroids, will they become swollen? Swole? Surprised has not poked himself yet. I haven't yet, almost certainly. What's this? Is David infected with agrobacterium yet? Yeah, I imagine by now. The anti-vegans are going to be upset with the wanton plant abuse. I know there's a lot of plant abuse. It's true. All right. Well, let me hop into chat. I think it's not CRISPR-based. I'm not sure how the original authors made the ruby plasmid. I believe they ordered the ruby plasmid, I think, James. Yeah, I'm not sure exactly I think they were saying that it was easier. It was easier and cheaper to have it done at a facility rather than do it yourself there, because while you can do it yourself, that's just another stage, I guess, that can go wrong. And the idea here is just to get you excited about. It's to get people like me going, "Woo! Look what you could do." I meant the real scientists, not the Odin folks. Ooh, burn! All right, let me get some sound back on here. I'm gonna hop in the chat. And James, if you're around, feel free to hop in, because it'd be interesting to talk to you about any of this stuff. So, all right, going to the chat. Here I am.
Fucking sit there. Well, I guess it's gonna take a lot because your arms will get sore because.
Hello.
These are the ones that are open. Those are the ones that are not. But I can't decide.
Oh, Vibe Pup.
Oh wait.
I think I'm hearing you. Hello, Vibe Pup. It's okay. You're muted. I just want to make sure you knew that you were not muted at that point. But I've only just gone live, so I just heard a little bit of back and forth about something I don't even know about. So feel free to jump in when you want to. Yeah, James, if you're around and you feel like, look at you, Jim, the Evo, how are you?
I was very loud all of a sudden.
Oh, was I very loud?
Yeah, no, I had my nothing was coming through as I joined. I was like, I'll just turn my headphones away.
Well, there's your first mistake.
Connected.
That's your first mistake is not protecting your hearing while there's while there's an actor around. So
projecting that voice everywhere.
So James, obviously,
yes.
like I feel the need to like apologize to you for probably butchering all of that.
Stepping on my turf. You don't see me acting, do you? And go around doing.
No, I have seen you act. I've seen you do your Dungeons and Dragons stuff are better performances than I can do.
I didn't say no.
I'm curious though, what like the reason for these kits and why I like them is that they really are like, it's like a toy engineering kit, if that makes sense. Like it's not like I don't feel like I'm actually genetically engineering anything, but at the same time, it's just showing you sort of part of the process, if that makes sense.
But you're doing the final step of genetic engineering, and it's the most striking step, because up until this stage, it's just clear liquids into clear liquids of smelly bacteria every now and again.
Now, is the agrobacteria generally more smelly than the jellyfish bacteria that I was using?
I think the jellyfish bacteria you're using was probably E. coli.
Oh, it was E. coli. That's right. Yes, it was.
Yeah, some people that smells quite nice. I don't mind the smell of it. There are some E. coli that reek. But agrobacterium, if I recall, is sort of like a soily smell, like a beets. But
is that what it is? It's
not a bad smell.
It's
like if you
mine are a bad smell.
Come see some of the bacteria. Yeah, come.
I'm
come
dying
see some
to.
of the bacteria.
I am dying. Like I can't.
You'll see bad smells.
I can't wait. I want you to put me to work. Like I literally want to be like a lab assistant one day. Just have you like walk me through, as an intern or something.
Yeah. You can come work for free in my lab, sure.
It'd be kind of like I feel like it would be kind of like one of those chef's kitchen thing where you could just sort of, I could be like, yes chef, no chef, yes professor, no professor. You could like yell at me when I screw up and I'll cry, that kind of stuff.
Yeah. But we can arrange that.
All right. So question for you. Agrobacteria, bacterium, which I guess is the plural of bacteria. Are they? You were saying that you could potentially transfer that to humans.
Oh yeah, the agrobacterium. They are nature's genetic engineering bacteria. They do it all the time. They have a really cool. For scientists, we call them virulence factors. They're typically the things that make us sick. So they have what's this thing called type 4 secretion system, which effectively pumps in proteins into cells. So whatever it's trying to attack or change the behavior of, this little molecule injection thing. There's another thing that looks more like a syringe. The type 4 isn't quite a syringe, but functionally it puts proteins from the bacteria into other animals or plant cells, and those proteins affect the behavior of those cells.
Right, which is what we're trying to do here.
In agrobacterium's case, in agrobacterium's case, it also puts tDNA and tRNA. I think it puts tRNA. So basically, DNA that will help transform the cell to do something differently. The agrobacterium is literally genetically modifying plants in nature. Like everything we consider to be genetic engineering happens in the natural environment. So when when people talk about GM foods and stuff being unnatural, it's like no, literally, it's happening outside right now in
Yeah, it
places
drives me
uncontrolled.
crazy.
Doing
The
it by random.
non-GMO thing drives me crazy now. I'm afraid I just don't. I don't understand it at all. It doesn't make any sense to me. But well, the reason why I ask is because I literally sprayed myself in the face yesterday doing it.
Yes. Yeah. The face is probably okay.
I mean, I
There was
assume,
if you
yeah, it wasn't in my eye, it wasn't in my mouth, and I wasn't too worried about it because I'm assuming that they're not going to.
I mean, you'll just go slightly red. It'll be fine.
Well, maybe that's.
He does look red.
Doesn't I? Don't
Yeah.
I look a little
It
red?
does look-
I do a little, don't I? Gimpy G. Hello, Gimpy G.
Yeah.
Ladies and gentlemen, Gimpy G. Because nothing says genetically engineered like Gimpy G.
Like Gimpy G, right?
Gimpy G's
I
entirely
went out
GMO.
on my own. Yep, true. The failed bin, but still.
That's, like tossed out with the plants. Is that the?
So Marcus, who's in your chat as Dr. NPG, he just sent me a link on Discord for like a nice blog post about the ruby red plasmid.
Oh,
that
fantastic.
you're using in this case.
Oh,
So
fantastic!
I'll just stuck it in chat for you.
That is great. And when is?
I've got to head back to the lab in like 5 minutes.
Oh,
So
sorry. Okay, but no. Thank you for
That's all right.
for even just popping
No
in.
worries.
That's great. We should have a chat at some point. I'd love to do another chat with Dr. N and PhD as well. If we could do that at some point. I haven't read the damn
Yeah,
book.
you've almost finished the book, haven't you?
Oh God, yeah, whatever. Damn books. Yes, reading is hard, James. It involves not falling asleep and having the book hit you in the face.
I listened to it on. I finished that on audiobook. So I have the hard copy. I'm just gonna get the audiobook and listen to it while I walk the dog.
I was listening to an audio, but I felt guilty because I felt like I was just swanning over stuff that I was obviously completely like I was like, like, and I went like, I think I need to see that chart. Oh, sorry. The book is called Life on the Edge. It's about.
And is this Dr. N actually did this or no?
No, Dr. N PhD has his own Twitch channel that specializes
Right, I remember
specifically.
going there.
Is it molecular engineer? What is his specialty, Dr. N PhD?
So he does a mix of his I believe his PhD is in molecular microbiology and
Right.
molecular biology.
Right.
He works on a really cool system which he can explain someday himself about typosomerizers and nanobodies. Really cool.
Oh,
But
we'll have to drag.
his stream is a mixture of his stream is a mixture of like microscope stuff on the weekends and
Right.
on office hours, and then he occasionally has guests, some informed, some not so informed. like
I'm the
yourself.
not so informed. I'm the not so informed ones. Yeah. Yeah.
He had a fantastic person on stream just the other day talking about the real world implications of fungal diseases like in The Last of Us.
That's
Excellent
getting a
guest.
lot
Really
of
interesting
press
stuff.
now. A lot of press because those
Yes, it is.
those cordyceps are really popular right now.
Yeah.
Uh,
Well,
the ca-
it's a real rising concern. I'll be honest. As a microbiologist, fungal infections do scare me.
Really?
We just don't have any drugs. There are 3 classes of drugs. For antibiotics, we have like 12 or so different classes of drugs. We're discovering new ones every 6
Right.
weeks. For fungal stuff, we have 3, and they were discovered in the 1950s, 1970s, and 1980s. We just haven't discovered any new drugs.
Wow.
No.
And yet
And,
people are
yeah,
munching. People are munching down on those like little caterpillars all the time, trying to increase their virility in China. There's one of them grows out of a caterpillar, and it's a very very expensive, I suppose, delicacy or Asian medicine,
Ew.
or it seems a
What
little
was the thing that
sus.
I think it was Terry Pratchett who said delicacy just means the locals are the only ones idiot enough to eat it.
Well, there you go. So but they're not though. That's the funny thing is they're crawling around mountainsides, picking up these little caterpillars with fungus sticking out of their foreheads, and they're selling them for thousands and thousands of dollars because
It's weird.
the assumption I get is that it's a bit like shark fin soup or all these ridiculous things that or the rhino's horn that will make you much more virulent as a male and all the all this nonsense stuff that for some reason gets given credibility, but is making people a lot of money. So of course, the first thing I went is like, could you grow those in the basement. And my wife's like, you're literally watching Last of Us and talking about putting, about experimenting with caterpillar fungus in the basement. Like, is there no connection between your life and what? Yeah, so there you go. I don't think that's happening. She came in the other day and said, like, does the house smell a bit funny? I'm like, no, I don't think so. I don't think so. It doesn't smell like agrobacteria eating its little.
I have no idea what you mean, darling.
Yeah, what are you talking about?
Yeah.
It's anyways.
Must
all
have
right.
COVID. There's an onset of long COVID. I'm gonna run back to the lab.
Yeah, you go, buddy.
I'll come
Thank you
back
so
in
much.
probably about 10, 15 minutes. If you're still around, I might jump back on if people have
Super.
questions.
Yeah, of course.
If the
Well-
bandits especially have questions about micro stuff, I'm happy to jump on.
Very good, fantastic. Well, there's some neat stuff about jellyfish that we'll get into that I.
Oh yeah,
that would
jellyfish
be-
is awesome.
Oof, the best.
All right,
man.
cheerio. Bye.
Ladies and gentlemen, Professor Dr. James Gurney. Always an honor.
What a guy.
And thank you,
What
Dr.
a guy.
NPhD, for being around too. I really appreciate that as
Yeah.
well. I want to get that link while I'm still thinking of it here. There we go. The ad.
I
gene.
kind of want to talk to Dr. N about muscular dystrophy and stuff.
Well,
I've never really looked into it.
let's get him in one day. Let's see if we can find a day that he's not, crazy busy, and we'll see if we can, because he's great. He's fun to talk to. I mean, I did his podcast. Yeah.
I'll throw him a teaser. Dr. N, could you look up Wordnick Hoffman's variant? Because that's what I was diagnosed with. And I would really like to know if that is related to SMA type 2 or what it is.
Gimpy
Anyway,
shamelessly putting the chat to work. I love it.
God,
I
that's
love
horrible.
it. No, it's
Oh,
fantastic.
I know.
That's
Your
that's-
Twitter is basically a request for him.
Well, that's what mine's become. That my Twitter is a freaking disaster now. I'm sorry, but I'm like, I don't understand. I'm like getting very few responses, which could be me, I'm sure, or a huge amount of responses, and it's all ads. It's all ads now. Like I'm wading through crap to get, and they keep showing me all these violent explosions and fights and stuff, and I keep I'm not subscribed to people, but I'm getting given this. Anyways, whatever. I don't want to do. I don't want to go there.
Well, I almost got fished
Did you?
because yes, it said it was Reuters, the news company.
Oh yeah.
Reuters something, and it had a blue check mark. But I forgot there's a new $8 blue check mark.
Oh yeah.
And then it showed one of my Blizzard pictures, and it said, "Oh, we're interested in climate change and how much blizzarding is going on or how the storms are going on in Colorado. Would you mind sending us a picture? Or if we use this picture," then it switched to, "Could you send it to this website," which was real weird because that's what they use to host pictures. And I was like, nope, and block.
Oh, that's good. I mean, like, you gotta love how clever they're getting. I mean, you wait. We're about to see like a ton of Chat GPT AI based stuff, right? That'll say,
Oh, yeah.
research Gimpy G, find everything out about him, and then come up with a phishing campaign that's guaranteed to make him click on something, or me for that matter. I mean, or my family. I mean, that's the problem.
Can you look up a person, or is it
Well, you
block
can't.
you from that?
You can't. But the point being is that anything that's available out there is also available on a standalone system as well, right? Like, so you could,
Right.
most of this stuff, if it's open source, you can do it without any of the guardrails, right? So, yeah, I think we're about to have, well, look, I heard about this. They use these things called pickle files, which I love. I don't know much about this, but one of the pickle files, they're called. But
Cool.
and apparently that's what they're using, these pickle systems with machine learning, and a company has detailed how you can basically, one of these big free downloadable libraries of machine learning, whatever it is, they can actually implant executable code into these things, and then the pickle files will run and pick these things up and actually execute stuff on your computer. So you do have to be careful about downloading unknown sort of data sets and stuff, because not data sets, machine learning libraries, because they're saying that what happens is people will then go and upload that to their company server so they can have it running on their company server, and of course it then goes and throws in some ransomware or whatever. So it's definitely the begin. We're about to start seeing a bunch of security issues with that as well. let me touch on a couple of things I wanted to chat about.
Yeah.
The genetic engineering stuff.
Jellyfish.
I feel bad. Like it's
Yeah.
not that exciting to watch, but it's. I gotta say, I get such a kick out of it. Like I
Dude,
just.
it was fun.
Oh,
You getting a kick out of it is fun for everybody.
is it okay?
So
All right,
don't
'cause
you worry about that.
I'd like to do
It's
more
good.
of this stuff. I know, like James says, that it's probably pretty boring stuff, a lot of it. But even if we could just have, just a few things bubbling away in the back, like my freaking 3D printer. Like I'm such an idiot. Ugh! A day and a half of printing and it fails because my desk was cluttered and it caught up on the filament. Anyways, okay.
No.
So I've talked about a lot of this stuff in the newsletter, but I was watching a bunch of these Z Frank videos, and I think I was telling you about these. Did you watch any of them after we talked?
No, I
You're
don't
the
know if we
worst
did
friend.
discuss it.
You're the worst friend I've ever had. I think I mentioned it, but it was I probably just in passing. But there's this guy called Z Frank who originally got famous, I think, for some silly dancey dance video on the internet. And yeah, you know what? We talked about it just before we talked to Google, so it was bad
We
timing.
talked. Yep.
But
Yep.
but basically, this guy was one of the first sort of viral videos, meme culture guys. But he's a very, very clever man. And he's got a series of nature videos that he does, which are just freaking hilarious. Because it's like
That's what you said. Yeah.
it's like the mind of a 16-year-old with the vocabulary of an academic, telling you about these various different odd creatures, whether they're sea creatures or whatever. And invariably it gets into, some kind of sort of sexy talk, about, slime molds and that kind of stuff. But it is freaking hilarious. And I kept thinking, this is truly edutainment. Because I was up until 2:00 in the morning watching these things and giggling at science videos and learning stuff and laughing at the same time. I just thought they were absolutely clever. So I'll throw some links about that up. But one of the things that came up with these jellyfish, and I was like, the first one was this immortal jellyfish. The idea that these things can be jellyfish floating around in the sea, and then they go back down and they latch onto a rock or something, and they turn back into these polyps, which is where they come from, and they could just keep cycling this. So they're basically immortal. Like they found this loophole in mortality where they just go back to babies again, and then it's like they just keep bouncing back and forth. So if they're under stress, they'll go and do this. I also had no idea that they were so old. That they are 500 to 700 million years old. These things.
Oh, you mean like predating vertebrates,
like
things like that?
They're saying they're like the oldest known multi-organ animal at this point. And they're
Do you know if the babies that come out of the polyp form again, is it exactly the same jellyfish, or is it almost like being born again?
I don't know. I'm not sure. They have a weird system where they're like a stack of, they're like a box, they're like a can of Pringles. And then they just keep
nice. I love
popping
Pringles.
off. They just keep popping off little jellyfish that will swim away.
And once they start, they can't stop.
That's it. There you go. Well, and this is the thing. So not only are they like one of the oldest creatures floating around in the sea, they are also doing really well right now. Even though the seas are warming and this pollution, all this kind of stuff.
In a gross way, right?
Yeah, in a kind of a gross way. Like they're like, hey, you guys having problems? Losers. And they're like turning into these massive blooms of jellyfish and stuff and causing chaos for fishermen and things. But I think we'll be eating them soon. That's my guess. Although I don't know how good they'd taste. They're like 95% water, right? So, but the part that really, like, you'd think that the immortal jellyfish thing would be the thing that blows me away. No, the thing that got me about this was, how they have these horrendous stings. Like if you're swimming in the ocean and you get hit by like a Portuguese man of war jellyfish.
Yeah, that's gonna sting.
Well, it'll kill you. It can kill a grown human.
Whoa.
Like that's how dangerous these things are. And I'm like, well, wait a second. They're 95% water. They don't have a brain. They use the same hole to poop and to eat. They're Like, how the hell are they
Ooh.
able to do this? How are they able to, like, they just seem useless to me. Except that they have these tiny little cells in them that have what are basically little curled. Oh, thank you, Hobbit Brain. That have these little curled up like harpoons in them. That if you brush against them, these things come firing out at like billionths of a second. Like they're like the fastest like biological process that they've seen in the. So not only are they like the oldest thing in the ocean, they're like the fastest thing on the planet, even though they're like just like jelly.
Really?
Yeah. So there's these and this is where it gets really weird. They think that these cells are from neurons. So the
By the way, light is the most fastest thing in the world.
light. That's true because nothing can move
He
faster than
means
light. That's
biological.
true. Yeah, but yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like living things, like light that we're aware of is not living. But yes, that's a good point. Light is the fast. Apparently, we can't go faster than light, right? There's no
Yes.
way to go faster than that, unless we can somehow jump. That's where we get into wormholes and all that kind of stuff, right?
Right.
Yep.
Yep.
But wait a second, back to jellyfish for a
It's a
second.
shame there's been no good TV shows about wormholes and travel.
I know someone should really
Just
do
hasn't
one.
been one.
Someone should totally do one of those. Hey, James? Did you hear that part about the jellyfish? These what are they called? They're
Yes, I did. I jumped back on the Medusa immortal jellyfish.
that. Yes, I thought that
Teratopsidus, I think. Something.
it's very cool. That was very cool. Yes, the Teratopsis. But it's the fact that there was a study done that linked neurons from, I guess, previous versions of the animal to these stinging cells, which have a really cool name too, which I can't. Do I have the name of them? I wonder if I wrote the name down.
So
They're called
that's so interesting.
nematocysts. Nematocysts. But they're these little, like, basically bags with a dagger in them that go flying out at in a billionth of a second. There's like little springs that go, ping, and they can, while they don't travel very far, they don't have to because they're brushed against. That's what triggers them, and then this horrible poison is injected. But they're saying that they think it's a form of neuron because neurons fire incredibly fast because they're sending out proteins to send communication, to the body and stuff. Like they're literally moving at the speed of thought, basically. And they're saying that this is the only known form of these things that create these little toxic harpoons, and they've managed to isolate the one. I don't know if it's a protein or the gene, or I'm not sure what it would be called. They've been able to isolate this one. Would I say gene, James? Would that be would it be a gene that would switch something between one thing and another thing? It's probably a gene. Wouldn't that make sense?
I mean, it could be a gene or a Hoxbox or things like that. Yeah, a gene's good enough.
Okay, let's go with gene. Like spoken like a true non-scientist. It doesn't matter if I'm wrong. Poor James has to couch all of his answers because people are going to go like, "You have a PhD." Yeah. But basically,
I was going to interrupt and say, do you know how fast neurons actually fire?
How fast
we
they
know
fire?
the speed.
Oh, do we?
Yeah. It's not that fast. It's like 30 meters a second. Like fast to run, but like not compared to the speed of light or something. Like neurons are like painfully slow.
Really? Well, because they're talking here about these nematocysts, which are
Nematodes,
that are actually able to fire at like in a billionth of a second.
Mm.
And
that doesn't sound
they might
right.
use the same mechanism of like change in potassium or sodium, like some sort of iron, like a salt. So the way your neurons regulate an impulse is by change in potassium ions on the cell surface flooding inside and flooding outside. Basically, that change in salt changes the charge of the electrical charge across the membrane. So think of it like a wire. Literally, the change in voltage is what the chemical's doing. So they might use that same thing where a sudden change in potassium, say, might allow it to fire really quickly, and that shoots the the barb out, or however it
Mm.
works.
I wonder if it's something to do with the barb being like coiled up as well. That maybe there's a physics to it as well, perhaps, as well as a chemical thing.
Like a pressure system.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But anyways, the point being, I guess, was that I just thought it was absolutely like the fact that we use this. What is it? The GFP in
I've heard that macaroon.
in molecular biology stuff, right? We're using it to trace cancers in bodies. We're using it to well, maybe not in bodies, but certainly in experiments, we're using it to figure out what is being modified and what hasn't and stuff. And like the other day, I got that E. coli that glows in the dark, which I just thought was the coolest thing on the planet. Is from a jellyfish. So I think the other big takeaway that I got from this, which I just thought was exciting for people who were trying to figure out what they wanted to be when they grew up, like me, is that there are 300,000 scientists are saying that potentially there are 300,000 different types of jellyfish that we don't even know about yet. That there are so many different variations in these things. So if you want to get something named after you, it seems like jellyfish would be a good thing to go and study. Because you might be able to find one that you could probably,
you might get a name.
You know what I'm saying? I assumed that we knew everything about these things, but no. Apparently, jellyfish are still quite mysterious, and we haven't even really classified them properly because we sort of lumped them together with these little polyps that do the coral and there's some, what do they call, hydroids or something like that. There's a bunch of different things that they're like lumped in together, and apparently they're called sea jellies now. You don't call them jellyfish. I'm going to call them jellyfish because I think that's a way cooler name.
Why? Oh, because of the fish.
It's not PC. It's not politically correct anymore.
Politically, they don't like it. They don't like being called sea jellies. Jellyfish.
Woke.
So they've gone. Yeah, they're like woke fish. No, they just because there's so much confusion around what is actually a jellyfish. I guess is the point. I still like jellyfish. It just sounds way cooler. And then what did they say? They said the people who study them, you could. I don't know whether this is legit or not, but you could call them jellyologists. I just love the idea of a card that says Hewlett, jellyologist, you know? But anyway, so I just...
A dad joke name. Nice.
Isn't it like a jellyologist? It's just fun to say, too. So that was a little bit of sciencey stuff that I thought was fun. And then because we haven't talked about gaming for a long time, I really wanted to talk about this whole Nintendo shop. And how they're closing down this digital shop for Nintendo. So the Wii U, 3DS, any digital downloads, if you haven't bought them yet, you won't be able to get them. Basically.
Yeah.
And that got me thinking about, like, I used to only buy hard copy games. Does anyone here still buy hard copy games? Anyone in the chat still buy hard copy games?
We do. Some.
Yeah.
Have you heard of limited run games?
What are they called?
Limited Run. They're a company that just takes, the downloadable digital things and turn them into a cartridge or a disc so that you can get a physical copy.
Oh, that's cool. That's really smart and probably breaks every copyright you have, right?
Evidently, they cut a deal because they come out all the time. Huh. They go up in price very quickly.
I'm sure because they're like collector's items, right?
Yep.
I used to force Baz to only buy hard copy games because I was like, look, you're going to play them for a week and then what? Then they just sit on a shelf. And again, I guess they could be collectibles and all the rest of it, I suppose. Yes. But, even the consoles, people just throw their consoles out and I'm like, well, at some point they'll be worth something.
I don't know who they are.
Everyone just throws them out. You know what I mean? I don't. Yeah, no, I've got a bunch of them on my. But there is still no system. I remember VibePup was talking about why don't they have like an NFT type thing, like a blockchain thing that could sell digital games. And I was like, yeah, that like I don't understand. And I'm guessing it's got something to do with the companies just trying not to. They don't want people to sell their games used, do they? They want people to buy them.
No, they don't.
Which is
I've ordered the same game like 3 times now.
What was that?
How about you, James? Oh, like I've got at least 2 or 3 copies of Planescape Torment and Baldur's Gate because I had it on a computer. Now I have it on iOS. So,
I guess it's a
and
bit
then when
like
they do an upgrade,
music and video. I
yeah,
guess same thing, isn't it? Really. I mean, I had records, then I had tapes, then I had CDs, and then I had digital downloads, and I had to buy them every single time.
yep,
We skipped
yep.
a bit of the collection of rocks you had to bang together.
That's right. The skin drums that I then upgraded to before.
The mammoth,
Yes.
the woolly mammoth.
Yeah, the mammoth. Yeah. Oh, that was another thing. So a lot of this is in the newsletter, but so apparently they want to bring back the dodo. There's a company that wants to bring back the
And I'll
dodo.
bet just for food, I'll bet.
Well, that was my joke. I was like, so what? So we can farm them and not kill them off again? But no, they're saying that it's just such an iconic example of humans killing something off, right? Like, I mean, like that
Yep.
it was such an, it's almost the dodo is almost a joke about how stupid we are about keeping things alive. And this company, Colossal, they're called Colossal Bioscience or something. It's Church. It's that Church guy. Was he the nice guy or the jerk? I can't remember.
George Church is. I don't. Depends who you ask. He's not the worst person.
Because one of them is like, isn't he like racist and sexist and said some horrible things?
I think you're thinking of James Watson.
Oh, is it Watson? Okay, great. Okay, that's all right.
Watson's definitely a piece of crap.
Okay, good. Because Church looked like a really cool guy. I gotta say,
He's just sleepy. He's just a sleepy old man.
well. So he's part of this. I guess he's they probably sort of thrown his name at it or something. But he seems quite interested in the idea of this whole de-extinction. The idea of like, why don't we start bringing some of these animals back? What could go wrong? We'll put them in a park. But the dodo is the one that they're talking about right now. And that they would mix it with a type of pigeon, some kind of a Portuguese pigeon of some sort, and they would be able to bring back something that sort of replicates these dodos. But they've been talking about woolly mammoths for a long time.
I think that would be cool.
Yeah. I don't see a problem with any of this. Like if we're the idiots who killed them all, then why don't we also be the ones to bring them back? And they're saying that the woolly mammoths, part of their function in the world was to wander around, tramping down the permafrost up there and stopping it from freezing as much as it, from thawing as much as it did. Of course, they'd probably go up there now and they'd all get stuck in the permafrost.
In the mud.
Yeah, yeah.
Yep.
But yeah, I just think that's an interesting kind of. They've had a lot of money thrown at them. This company, so I don't know. They've got a very flashy website, let me see if I can put the website in the link here.
It reminds me of environmental whitewashing, effectively. It's like don't worry, we can fix it by let's not fix the problem, which is us.
Right.
Let's just put a band-aid on it and say, well, that's all right. If we make the tiger extinct, we'll just clone them, and
right.
they'll get used to living in filth.
I didn't even think of that. Of course, if the population starts going like, oh well, we've got all the technology, we'll just fix it later. Oh my God, I didn't even think of that. Of course, that's what we're gonna do. They're like,
and eat them, of course.
I'm gonna shoot the last tiger, but before I do that, let me just get a little chunk of bone so that they can bring it back. I mean, well, people are getting their pets cloned and having them back, right? Wasn't that like a thing where you could get your?
I don't know.
Yeah,
that would be
I've heard
weird.
of that.
You take cells from your dead pet or your dying pet, and you have it sort of remade. I just always immediately think of like Pet Sematary. I think it's gonna come back and stare at me with glowing,
And be the evil version.
Yeah, it's gonna come back and stare at me with glowing eyes, like at in the night. But yeah, there's actually companies that have done that.
Yeah.
It's funny. I was talking to my dad about 23andMe the other day because I have a subscription to 23andMe because I, for some reason, felt the need to just throw my DNA out there for anybody to look at. I'm so classic nerd. I go straight to Angel with this technology. I never think of what could go wrong, like my son being denied insurance because of the DNA that I've already provided to the company, and he says, and again, he's old and jaded, but he is, his background is in fertility and
gynae, right?
Yeah, OB-GYN, yeah. and did a lot of the test tube baby stuff when it first started, in vitro and all that kind of stuff. But he says that the DNA stuff is just. He says these companies for the most part, they're just it's like for entertainment. It's not valid science. A lot of it's not valid science.
It's close to like horoscope level stuff.
No,
like,
seriously?
Oh no shit.
Ah,
Yeah.
come on.
Yeah.
Yeah, there there are some cases where I can link a specific mutation to a specific phenotype. Like, for example, Gimpy G, we could do a whole genome sequence. I'm sure we'd find an underlying cause for his SMA.
Right.
Um,
What is the underlying cause of SMA?
like-
Is it a genetic thing, or is it? I mean, I'm assuming it's a genetic thing, but is it a?
Yeah, it's genetic.
no, it's just
I know.
it's bad luck. He was just born this way, and
Hey, this,
you know,
I
reincarnated
do
because he's a little bit of
think
Isn't
of
it
it
because God
like a
doesn't love him?
cosmic ray.
It's because God doesn't love you. Isn't that you must have done something wrong, right? Isn't that yeah?
That's what I've been told.
Yeah.
When I say I'm an atheist, they go, "Oh, well, no wonder."
There you
Now
go.
we know why. 'Cause-
That explains why you're in that chair.
Yep.
Yeah, got it. Okay.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
I have been smoted.
What would happen if you sent in your DNA to 23andMe? I wonder if they would be able to, if they would sort of go like, "Ooh, you may want to
no,
look out for
they
this."
wouldn't. Almost certainly
It would take-
because the way.
Yeah.
So again, Dr. N, who I hopefully saw in the chat, he actually sent his entire genome off.
I know. I was so jealous. I want to do that too. It's too expensive.
It was like $300. Got his whole genome back, and so okay. More things. Dr. N is a working microbiologist, molecular biologist who knows how to analyze whole genome data, can actually run the programs that need to do it. You receiving your whole genome is kind of pointless unless you know what you're doing with it, because
it would make a very nice painting for the wall, though.
Data. Yeah, but 23andMe, they don't do whole genome sequence. They don't even sequence genomes. They take, I believe, they do a restriction enzyme digestion. So they look and say, okay, we know this gene has these variants. So the variant A, B, C, and D. Those different variants have slightly different codes, and we have enzymes that we know will distinguishly cut between code A and code B. So then they run it on a gel and say, okay, looking at the pattern of the gel, how the DNA fragmented, we can tell whether you had gene A or gene B. They're not sequencing the genome. They're saying, using these enzymes, we can see what's going on. Now, they may have changed their technology since doing it.
I would have thought that'd be really slow, wouldn't it?
Super quick.
Really?
Yeah.
Because it's super.
Yeah.
Because it's super unspecific and invalid.
Yeah.
Basically. Oh, I see. Okay. All right.
And they just do it for specific regions of the genome where they have association studies. So basically, people have published other data saying folks who have this gene are more likely to be like this, and folks who have this gene are more likely to be like this. And there's not necessarily a causative or a confirmed connection. There are some cases, like, again, if you have an XY chromosome, you will typically have a male presenting child. That's pretty conclusive genetically. Whereas if you have the classic one, like, oh, this person has brown eyes and my mom has blue eyes, so I'm going to have brown eyes. Like, actually, it's a lot more muddy than that. There's a lot more going into it than that. Dr. N saying it's it might be a microarray based assay now. So again, a microarray assay works in a very similar principle. So instead of cutting the DNA, you have, if you imagine little tiny fingers, 100,000 little fingers on this chip, like a silicon chip, like a computer chip. On each of those fingers, they print a little bit of DNA, and they're asking which bits of your DNA now bind to print a bit of DNA, so that they're working out which specific variation of a gene you have, just much higher throughput method.
So they can
the same idea.
They can pick up if something connects to it. They can sense that basically.
It fluoresces. Yeah, it changes color.
Probably using jellyfish, whatever thing. Right?
Maybe. Yeah. I have actually. It's technology that's old enough that I did it during my PhD, which was like almost a decade ago. Even then, it was slightly outdated. I have a picture somewhere in one of my hard drives of the actual colorful chip, and it's just red, green, red, green, red, green, depending on which sections of DNA, which are the oligos, the short chains of DNA, were hybridized. So, using those technical terms, the DNA hybridizes to the oligo. If it does, it lights up, and then you know, oh, I had that specific strand of DNA in this sample.
So if it tries to
And you can
complete
say-
itself by connecting to these things,
Yeah.
you'll get some kind of a signal from these chips that let you know, oh, yep, you've got one of those in there, and you got one of those in there, and that.
Close enough. Yeah.
That's kind of a brilliant little system, though.
It's not actually a connection between two things. It's just it by binding the strand and it's free on the other side. It changes the chemistry that allows it to light up.
Huh. That's very cool.
Yeah. I mean, the technology is awesome. I love. It's one of those when you get down to what molecular biology technology is actually doing. It's so wonderfully physical. It always reminds me of like, oh, for all our energy, we end up boiling water. That's how we generate almost all of our energy on the planet. Is we heat up water.
Yeah. Yeah, it's kind of feeble, isn't
Like
it?
aside from, then when you get down to the molecular biology, it's again like, well, you're just pushing really small strings through a hole, and you count how the hole flexes.
But
That's how we do large scale sequencing.
But the machinery at that level, I find just
it's beautiful.
extraordinary. Like it really is. Like I think one of the greatest crimes are these flat pictures in biology books. And every time Baz comes home with something about biology, I immediately look it up online to see if there's some kind of an animation. Because the difference between a flat picture of something and watching these weird shapes moving down to unravel a DNA strand or something. I mean, it's a world of difference. It drives me nuts that they're still doing photocopied handouts for biology because it just how to kill a absolutely beautiful and I mean these are machines. They're like they're I don't know. I find it absolutely amazing. I love that things like The Last of Us is getting people interested in cordyceps, even if it's just to get them scared. But the idea that there's like, hey, there's a real biology to this. Those are the kind of connections that I think are very valuable to a kid growing. Are any of the kids
going to enjoy
watching
the
Last
next.
of Us? Is anyone watching Last of Us or any of our tech bandits in the chat watching? Vibe, you watching Last of Us?
No, I'm not, but I have heard about
Isn't
it.
that pretty rated R, dude?
Oh, is it rated R?
Wait, can you guys hear me?
Well,
We can hear you.
yes, we can.
Okay. I just wanted to make sure.
Did you play the game at all?
No, isn't it only on PS4?
Oh, it might be. No, it's PS3, I think, because I think we have a PS3 version somewhere. That's something that Cal would know.
It was originally released on PS3, re-released on PS4, then remastered on PS5 and 4, I believe.
Well,
Right.
Baz, I don't know if Baz wants me to let you know this, but Baz has, despite me saying don't do it, you're going to regret it. He has decided to save the money he saved on a PS5.
Yes. Yes.
So are you inheriting his 3080 Ti?
That's what I said. He's like, well, no, I'll use both. I was like, not at the same time, you won't.
You need both.
I know. Like what but I was just like, look, dude, it's gonna happen. Like I don't know. We'll see.
Yeah.
We'll see. I mean, look, I understand the concept of a console. It's got everything you need to play the game. There's no futzing around with like, is this set up and is that driver and all that crap. It's just it's gonna work for the most part.
Yep.
But it's an appliance. I feel like it's just a game now. It's not. I don't know. I feel like I'm whatever. I mean, he's talking about doing some. He's really enjoying his programming course and stuff at school right now. So I hope that will bode well for some game stuff. But
I mean,
Is he
to be
learning
fair,
C-sharp?
David does yell at children a lot now.
I try to
Get
yell
your
at
ball
children
off my lawn.
whenever I can.
Yeah.
Whenever I can.
No.
He's doing it's Python right now,
Okay.
which
Oh,
is
neat.
I was watching.
I love Python, by the way. I love that. Now, who's yelping in the background?
think-
Wasn't me.
Who's got yelpy noises in the background? Is that Fluffy? Are you yelping in the background?
Yes, sorry.
No, it's fine. Just as long as we
That's
know,
okay.
as long as you're not being murdered by,
Or-
that's we're good. Yeah, there you go. As long as
Of course, I was watching some chat GPT code a Unity game in C#,
how'd that go?
and really well.
I know. It's extraordinary, isn't it?
Terrifyingly well. So I think Baz should, because you've said he's had this game idea for quite a while. He should work out what
Maybe throw it
the
into.
required logic is. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
Pretty
he's
good.
got his friend is doing designs which are just beautiful for it. Like they're really
Right.
cool. But I think that, as always, it's that first step. It's that trying to get.
Yeah.
It's the committing to doing that stuff, which I totally understand. I mean, I can't. The idea of doing a game is extraordinary because you've got to come up with a story, you got to come up with characters, you got to come up with design. There's so many elements of it. It's. I've got to say, I just find it so exciting, the idea of being able to create your own worlds with this stuff. And if ChatGPT can become a tool that allows you to do that, I think that's. Look, we did a meeting yesterday about a show with my little sister, and it was a science show. Or it had a science aspect to it. That's the reason why she talked to me about it. And she said, and so I went onto ChatGPT and I typed in the audience age that they were looking at. It was like 8 to 12. And I said, just print out a list of curriculum, of the necessary curriculum points for kids between ages 8 and 12 in the Ontario school system. And sure enough, I mean, I would have to check to make sure they're actually right. But for the most part, certainly from what I was looking at, it was a pretty great, detailed list of all the curriculum points I was looking for in the sciences. And then I had to do then I suddenly went, well, wait a sec, I should see what kind of curriculum stuff we can tie into with Tech Bandits. So I then had it print out an entire curriculum of science for kids, right? Which would have taken hours for me to cut and paste together. I mean,
it's scary how specific it can be. So I asked it to summarize a mathematical model I published like 3 years ago. I gave it the name of one of my papers, and it came up with a slightly different but functionally similar mathematical model as I'd written. Wow. So it was it in its memory banks, it knew my papers, and I think fairly highly of myself, but I'm a very small academic in the grand scheme of things, and it was able to extrapolate it had extrapolated my mathematical modeling from paper. So to give it like something as broad as the Canadian syllabus for science, like, I've got tons of information on that, and I think it can really. I keep wanting to say that use the word think and like collate information, but it's
it's interesting how it's going to change chat. It's going to change search, because search, search, you end up, you have to wade through the promoted, you have to wade through the big companies that have just trying to get you to click on their pages to get to the meat of what you're looking for. And this allows you very quickly to drill down, to not even have to go to the sites. It's just pulling the specific information you need. But of course, it's not doing it with live websites. So the advantage that your paper was out a number of years ago probably is the reason why it's in there.
It's in the database. We got an email today basically saying from the university, the sky isn't falling.
Oh, really?
we need to learn how to embrace ChatGPT, but like this idea of just ignoring it is not going to do anyone any good. So it's going to revolutionize how we teach. So be prepared to think. How can you actually use the technology?
Hi, Snorlax.
Well, don't use it.
I thought, hey, Snorlax, how you doing? You got to drive home now. Yeah, so please don't try to drive and stream at the same time. Very bad idea. Thank you very much for joining us, Snorlax, and thank you for your generosity. That was very, very surprising and kind of you. Thank you. Snorlax showed up and just started
that's so nice.
It was like dollar bills. It was like throwing people subscriptions.
What?
Yeah. It was like the fastest moving Snorlax I've ever seen. My son calls me Snorlax. It's very flattering.
Makes sense.
Yeah, the ChatGPT in school is. I'm quite excited about it, honestly, because in my evil way, I think it might kick some high school butt. I think there may be some teaching tricks there that it will get around, because the reality is, like you say, if this stuff is documented already, If it's like, tell us about the use of I don't know, of poetry in Julius Caesar or whatever the hell it is. I mean, something, related or war references in Julius Caesar. That kind of stuff is just, it could spit that out without even thinking. But if you ask it to say, are there tragedies in your own life that you could equate to the tragedies of Shakespeare? Or are there news stories today that could be equated, or that, like that, they're trying to come up with new ways of getting people to think about this stuff, which again, just makes stuff more engaging for kids anyways, right? How is your life a tragedy? I get there's a few teenagers who'd be happy to talk about that for a long time. Me being one of them,
I think you're very right. I don't want to disparage people who are teaching high schools and lower. But there's been a reliance on standardizing and really making it, progression.
See, that's the problem. The standardizing.
Yeah.
Really
Whereas
hamstrung everybody.
Everyone now, if I have access to an AI which will spit back a perfectly acceptable standardized answer, that kind of falls apart now. So we have to go more into individual, student Michael over here has issues in these areas, but really excels in these areas. So let's spend more time talking to them, because they can the information is now freely available outside. It's been gained that way for a long time, where we've democratized the ability to get information. I just asked ChatGPT to tell me war references in Shakespeare's Caesar. Let
me guess, it came up with a lot.
With some military statutory.
Yeah, I mean,
this is a couple paragraphs. Yeah, talking about the cause of war and anti-conspiracies as traitors, rebels, and
nice.
Yeah,
I mean, but this is it. I mean, I feel like if you can come up with, well, let me sort of spin this around for a second. What I'm not hearing as much about, I hear all this drama about teachers and concern about curriculum and ChatGPT, but surely this is a tool that teachers could be using too. Like teachers could be, like if you've got a class full of kids who all want to read different books, ChatGPT could be very useful for you to pull the important themes from books that you haven't had time to read, because you can't read 30 of them if you're trying to teach 30 kids. I mean, I feel like there's certain tools that the teachers could be using as well. And I don't mean just, I mean, I'm not just hitting on, I'm not just trying to beat up on teachers here. I think this is something that's
no.
It's going to apply to a lot of different fields. Journalism.
For sure. I'm sorry, but for sure, I don't know if you guys saw, but it was even like 2 weeks ago, it had gotten 100 million hits or downloads
Faster
or something like that.
And
no advertising, just word of mouth. I remember 5 or 6 weeks ago, it was just us nerds playing with it.
Yeah.
So it's done. Worrying about if you're going to have to deal with it, that's over.
It's already
that's been resolved.
Over here, just totally egging me on about this.
What was that?
Fluffy's over here, just totally egging me on about this. So what you're talking about, teachers using Chat GPT, that's happening right now. They're doing a ton of PDs on it right now. And I'm on the technology committee for our local public school district, and they had a big, whoever it was giving us a presentation. But the problem is, there are a couple problems with using it as Google. One is it's just consistently wrong. I mean, not consistently, but it's wrong a lot.
But it sounds very certain about it when it is.
Yeah, it's really, really good at being wrong. So it has the ability to spit out text at a undergraduate level of writing, and it can sound pretty convincing, and it can give you citations and stuff like that. But it says, and I don't it was the one example that the person gave us was about a Robert Frost poem, and it was did an analysis of the poem, and it was it's in iambic pentameter, and I was it's not. So it's just it's saying things that are wrong a lot. But there are teachers that are using it because it is really helpful for kind of teaching kids, doing analysis of how to structure something, what is, sorry, he's totally egging me on right now. But they are, the teachers are using it. There are tons of PDs around it going on right now.
Yeah.
And I was even in a meeting with his science teacher. The other thing that they can do is it can do multiple choice questions for passages. So if they just want to check for that. And it can also spit out things at different lexile levels. So if you need to differentiate inside the classroom, they're using it to just like, you can take a passage, and this isn't so much Chat GPT, but like the other one that's a little bit more open. You can take a passage and just say, rewrite this at a second grade level.
Yeah.
And it'll just like spit it back out. So
And
they
that's
are
the
using
beauty.
those ways in classrooms a lot. But the issue is that like right now, the way that the curriculum is set, it just takes time to have the shift. And so like his school district, like the tech people just decided to just block it for right now.
Yeah.
And it's mainly because they just need time for the teachers to like revise everything because they're so overloaded. But it like that shift is happening just like it's happening in like every kind of form of technology that's come out. It's just it's really time consuming to change things like that.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, and that's the issue. I mean, the university's having the same issue as well, right? Where they're sort of saying like, I mean, I was talking to a couple of professors the other day who were saying like, yeah, there are people who are now going to retire a little earlier because they don't. They're like, I cannot go back and start doing almost everything differently. I've been, this is the way I've been doing it.
The nice thing about university, at least in the UK and in some extent in the US, is we can fall back on the old Boucher type of examination. We used to do that a lot more often, which is like a live oral presentation of your part of your final grade. So you'd write a paper, you'd get a grade, and then you do your viva voce at the end of that, and that could decide whether they could mark up your paper based on your answers in that grade.
Right.
And Floppy the Cat's Guardian can maybe speak to this better than I could, but I have that time. I have that luxury of being a professor. Like I have 30 students an entire year. If I'm having to do 30 students a week, I don't know how you fit that in.
Yeah,
35 a day.
I don't mean
exactly.
I don't envy it. I've read a bunch about them blocking it as well, which I know they know is not a great solution either.
It's not the end of.
I don't think it's buying them any time.
Everyone has a mobile phone.
Yeah.
Just they go off the Wi-Fi and they'll use their phone.
And this issue applied to Wikipedia as well. I mean, like the fact of the matter is that we had, you couldn't reference Wikipedia as your source in a lot of the essays that not that Bats had a lot of essays, but a lot of the school related stuff because you just don't know, because someone could just go in there and change it all overnight, and you know what I mean. Like so there's I mean, we've had these technology growing pains from the beginning. I mean, we talked about this with the calculator. I mean, that's how old Gimpy G and I are. But the idea that
I mean, abacus.
That there was exactly when I had to take sticks and bundle them together.
When they first,
and that was cheating.
It was Homer. I forget who talked about this with Homer. The Odyssey, basically saying the idea of writing down a play, an Odyssey, or the what we would consider a book at that time was considered bad etiquette because you should be able to remember the entire thing. Why do you need to write it down?
I think it was Plato who was complaining about that, saying the kids aren't even gonna not even gonna think anymore because they just have it all written down. It's again, I feel like I've got a virus threat protection. Apparently something just happened, and my Windows system is very excited. It is agrobacteria. That's it. I did squirt some over in this corner of the room for sure.
I saw. Yeah.
Hey, so, Elizabeth. So, are there do you have to have? I mean, are there? How do you address something like this on a school on a education level as opposed to a school level?
Well, I think there are a couple things that are going on. One is there are two things that kind of need to change, I think, from a sort of broad perspective. And one is looking at, okay, we have this technology, so the skills that kids need to learn, or like what we expect the outcomes of education are going to be, those are going to change. And that's like the standards, or I think in the UK they sometimes call them like the curriculum, which is just like,
Yeah, we call it curriculum here too as well.
yeah, which is the, like, Ontario, if you go to Ontario's website, they will just tell you, here, everything that the kids need to learn. And, they have it for ELA or English or whatever they want to call it. Well, that might be different based on new technologies that come out. And the issue with the standards is that it takes so long to revise them. So I think, like, Ontario recently revised their science standards, and they incorporated some, like,
from like the 80s.
into
Like,
science.
Like the last time
from,
they updated it was like the 80s or something. Yeah.
Yeah, like last year, they were like, oh, you know what? Maybe computers are useful when you're doing science. Like last year. But that's at the government level.
Yeah, and their use of computers, by the way, was to teach them how to use Word, Excel, and there was something else. Baz is like, I'm not taking computer science. I'm like, oh, okay.
It's not computer science. That's digital. Okay, but Ontario doesn't have computer science standards. They have like some things in math and a couple things in science that are sort of related, but they don't actually have computer science standards in the way that, like most of the states in the US do right now. And I think it's mainly because of lobbying from the big tech industry.
Really?
But oh yeah, like big tech has poured tons and tons of money into lobbying the government in the United States to essentially like teach kids how to code in high school. And then there's been a pushback from the K-12 educators. It's like, well, we're not actually exclusively a jobs training program. What we actually need them to learn is like what the social impact of computing is and how it works so that they can question it and like hold big tech accountable and all these things. And big tech is like, no, we just want them to learn Python.
We don't like the accountability part so much. Accounting, yes. Accountability, no.
Yeah, so it's just been a but anyway, and then the other thing is really the pedagogy and the forms of assessment that we use. So like the pedagogical strategies, obviously, like this opens up a lot of doors for how we can support students, how we can do differentiation. But it also makes us rethink sort of like assessment. So when we look at the standards, like what do kids what do we need kids to know? What are we expecting them to know as they, leave school? And then we have these assessment items that it's like, okay, if you do this thing and I look at the work that you produce, then I'll have a pretty good idea of whether or not you've achieved that learning goal.
Right.
Well, if suddenly like Chat GPT is writing a whole bunch of essays, if I look at an essay that a kid has emailed me, maybe I don't necessarily know that they're able to structure their thoughts in an effective way. And you see the same thing with the calculator. It's like, okay, if kids are using calculators, you don't actually know that they know their math facts.
Yeah.
And on one hand, you can say, well, they don't need to know them anymore because they're calculators. But the problem is that without, when you do a lot of transfer between like the calculator to the maths problem that you're doing, the mental energy that it takes up more working memory. So you can't move fluently between different levels of abstraction. So what happens is we have to think like, what are the skills that we actually need them to know? How can we figure out whether they know these things and, what's the best possible way to, to teach them that? But then that butts up against like, sometimes we value things because they're just easy to test really cheaply or, so there's just a lot of other factors to it.
Yeah, I definitely get the sense that there are things that are just easy to standardize. So great. We got that.
Yeah, like grammar.
Box checked. Grammar. Why is no one talking
grammar?
About
Grammar is so gross.
Why aren't people talking about Grammarly? That's been around for years and, is on everyone's phone at this point. So, like...
It's because we never cared whether or not kids knew grammar. It was just super easy to test.
Right. Yeah, exactly. I hated grammar. God, I hated grammar.
You know what grammar is? It's the English nerds being jealous of us math nerds. And I'll just say it.
That's them told.
You can say grammar is a form of clarity of communication and that we all speak different dialects and we need to have something standardized so we can all communicate with each other. And also, but it also just like turns out to be this, people turn it into this thing for its own sake rather than this is about clarity of communication. And then you get stupid pedantic things that just are annoying and away from
Plus, English is all exceptions anyways.
Well, the thing is, like, just because you have good grammar doesn't mean that, or just because you are familiar with, the mechanics of standard written English doesn't mean that your idea is better. And I think people kind of, get confused about that. Like, oh, you made a grammatical error in your argument. Obviously, you don't have anything worthwhile to say. So it's just you kind of put the cart before the horse. But that's a tangent.
That's interesting.
As someone who was terrible, at English growing up and grammar, I was thinking the other day, I remember being told, back in the 80s and 90s, oh, you'll never be able to do this job, scientist or lawyer or whatever, because your English isn't good enough. Now, I'm like, I've got ChatGPT now. I can help. Like, all those people who were like...
It's doing like 30% of my job right now. Like, I've got a 50-page thing I've got to present to the CEO tomorrow. And, like, honestly, the only reason that I can talk to you right now is because of GPT.
Right. Wow. So it is. So you're making use of it as well.
Oh, I use it all the time. And then I shared it with the marketing department. They use it all the time. Yeah. Like, it just spits out a bunch of text, and it doesn't have good personality. It's not always right, but it's really good for brainstorming. And so you don't have to look at the page.
That's such a good point. Brainstorming is the best thing.
Citations. If you say with citations, it'll cite research studies for you. And then you don't have to do the research because it's just cited all of the relevant research studies for you.
Although I asked it to cite movies and it made some up.
Well, I mean, it has not made up research studies as far as I've seen.
Really? Okay, all right. Because it literally made up a movie with a cast and everything that doesn't exist and that I wasn't in.
I was worried about that, but then I started checking, and they actually are research studies. Like, I'm not putting things in there if I haven't actually read the paper.
Right. Yeah. No,
I wonder. Wait, could it write a grant proposal?
Yes.
James,
oh my God, awesome. It would be perfect for that.
I literally on my other screen have current grant proposal up, and I've put parts of it through ChatGPT to say simplify this.
So nice.
Like, how would you make this shorter and more punchy? And it's come back with stuff. Sometimes it's come back with stuff, and I've said no, I'm not quite right. It's muddled up this idea because it's quite complex. Strangely enough, my research is slightly complicated, so it's got some stuff wrong. I haven't asked it to cite anything or anything like that, but it's definitely reduced the wordiness and fixed the grammar in places. So yeah, I am using it. I have a grant on my computer right now that has parts edited by GPT.
Let me throw this at you as kind of scary. The other day I went on to use it for something. I think it was related actually to this script thing. And it was unavailable. And I was honestly lost. I went, I'll have to come back later. Then I was like, what am I doing? What am I saying? I'll just go Google some stuff.
Were you on I can't wait. Because the playground's always available.
I don't know. That's a good question. I log in. I log in with my... I think it's
there's one that's called Chat GPT, and that one gets throttled. Right. But there's another one that is more like
OpenAI.
Yeah, OpenAI.
Oh, are they different? I thought they were the same thing.
So
they have
the same company
behind them.
Yeah.
It's the same language model and everything.
Yeah, okay. I pay OpenAI a fee to use their API for our studio and stuff like that. I've been doing this for a year, and it uses the Chat GPT-3 model, so the same one that the chatbot's using, but it doesn't respond in such a chat body way. It just gives you more of a informative da-da-da-da-da. So if I say optimize this code, it'll just spit me back. It won't say, well, this is how you do the code and stuff.
Is it worth it? I mean, what do you pay? What do you pay for that? What is that?
This month I paid 60 cents because it's per token, and I just said it. It also does images. If you want not stable diffusion, it does the OpenAI images, so it can also generate AI images.
Is that like the DALL-E one?
Yeah, so I just have it.
The DALL-E ones I was...
Yeah, it's DALL-E, yeah.
I didn't like the DALL-E. Well, sorry, I shouldn't say I didn't like the DALL-E ones. The other thing that I think I've got to keep catching myself on is this is changing by the minute. It's iterating itself. And you imagine what you would learn in 100 years, and it's doing that in 100 seconds. You know what I mean? There's so much data that we are putting into this thing right now. It will be... our concerns about whether it's making crap up or not, I think will soon be waylaid because it'll come up with some system for checking to make sure that it validates stuff before it puts it out, before it spits it out. You know what I mean? I cannot wait to see how this gets used.
There's a good book called Superintelligence by...
Oh, yes.
Nick Bomstrom? Storm, something like that.
He's nervous about it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think I've got that. I haven't. I've got the audiobook of that, which I want to listen to. That's worth listening to?
It's a dense book, but again, it's worth reading. Yeah,
Yeah.
definitely. But he describes his
Maybe
sort of
ChatGPT could explain it to me.
Yeah,
Get ChatGPT to explain the book about how bad ChatGPT is to me.
Yeah. I just wonder if we've got to the point, and when we will inevitably get to that point, where the chat model will be able to infer something that no human to date could have inferred. Because currently, everything it's doing is based off stuff we've already written and published.
It's predictive. What's the next
available
word that makes sense? Given, yeah.
Yeah, but at some point, it will have enough information to say, and enough. Again, I'm trying to think of I guess intelligence to be able to say, if I take fact A and fact B and fact C, I can then infer fact D, which no human brain would be able to put together, because fact A is made up of a billion sub facts, and fact at some point, someone's going to ask Chat or OpenAI, one of these artificial intelligence, a question that a human mind cannot have answered. And when we get to that point, that becomes really scary.
Is it okay? I need to ask you
good or
something.
bad point.
It's sciencey. Do we know if these things are going to be free of the human biases? Because I think it could do what you're saying.
It's all bias.
Okay.
It's all our data.
Because
bias, they amplify human bias.
Yeah. There are bias. They're trained on our bias, already existing bias.
Yes.
Yeah.
If you think about people and you say, even talk about a trans person or something, and they just freak out because they've been conditioned their whole life, boy, girl, that's it. And so I was wondering if the computer would be able to think outside of that, if the AI would not be as affected because it doesn't have a biology.
The AI doesn't have a model of the world. It's just predictive based on the data that, at least this type of AI, which is just the machine learning. It's just like predictive, and it just says like, okay, how likely do I think this is going to be based on all the other data that I've seen? That's what makes it so dangerous. So like when they had for a while, AI was trying to decide whether or not people would get bail or they would be sent to jail. It was more racist than a human judge.
Right.
Or like they, and then Canada was using it to like help make immigration decisions, and they were like, hold up. So one of the things that they were doing locally, and I can't remember what happened to it, was pass a law that it was like your algorithm for making decisions cannot be a black box. Like you have to, number one, you have to like test it for bias, but it also can't be a black box. You have to explain how it's making decisions. And a lot of these, they can't, but that's because they don't have a model. They just like feed in, and they have all these like different, anyway, it's a mess. It's a huge.
There's different types of artificial intelligence here that we talk about. The most easy is like something called a lasso or ridge regression, which is effectively just linear algebra. And if you ask me, predict, I have a paper on this, predict CF cystic fibrosis outcome after a year or so, we used machine learning lasso ridge regression techniques to say, given these circumstances, we predict this. I can go back through that algorithm each step and say, the sex, the height, the weight, the time since diagnosis, here's the weight each of those factors plays on our final decision. Some other machine learning techniques, I'd just go, I don't know. I put the thing in the box and it told me this. And
the diagnostic stuff,
it's more accurate.
They're struggling with that with diagnostic stuff because it's pulling in some kind of pattern recognition that unless you know how to unpack it is magic. Basically, it's just like, oh, those people died, those people don't. We don't know why, because the algorithm isn't designed to explain it to us. It's just designed to come up with answers. And diagnosis is a great use for this stuff. Diagnosis is fantastic for this because it can have a database of previous cases that it can use to judge outcome. But as you say, if it's biased, oh look, all of the black patients died because they didn't have the money to pay for the, it's so many different ways the bias can creep in.
Amazon was using it for their application. I think, I'm pretty sure it was Amazon was, if it's not, sorry to Amazon, but it sounds like something Amazon would do. They were using it for their applications to like streamline the application process. And because everybody was so sexist, like you can choose the features that the AI can look at. And in fact,
Right.
you have to. And so they were like, obviously you can't choose like gender or race as a feature, but it was finding things in like the cover letters and the CVs that were proxies for gender. And it
Yeah.
was just
Huh.
flat out denying all the women. His
Huh.
hiring managers were also sexist, and it learned from them.
That's interesting, but that makes sense because if you're looking at just previous data, that's all you're going to get. I mean, there was a great example. God, what was it? With facial recognition, that a huge problem. Like facial recognition is like almost like a no-fly zone right now because they had so many problems with it because it's designed by white guys in labs. And all of a sudden, it's not identifying people of color correctly. And as
I saw a physics answer to that too, though. By the way,
you saw what?
A more sciencey answer.
Yeah.
In that, the darker the complexion, the harder it is for these crappy black and white cameras to get any contours
But
or.
right, but
So
if it was
it's harder for
designed
it
by
to
a black
actually- yeah.
scientist, they wouldn't have come up with those cameras in the first place, right?
Yeah, they
wouldn't
wouldn't
work.
And that's the thing. It's like, is your evaluation criteria looking at different demographics? So like when they brought this up to like 4 of the main companies, like one of them fixed it and 3 of them didn't. And that one somehow found a way to make it work and like nobody else did.
Gotcha.
There was one of the. I
think
remember
you
one of
mentioned
the.
this.
Sorry.
It was just early on in Tech Planets. You talked about the Tech Planets being talked about people looking at soap dispensers.
That's literally what I was going to
working.
say. Like I was going to say way back when we were talking about that, the racist soap dispenser.
Okay, I don't know this. What is it?
Oh, it's great. It's classic.
What? It's a very racist soap dispenser.
It was a
What
soap
information do you
dispenser.
need?
It was a soap dispenser at a resort, and when the white guests went in and used it, it worked fine. When anyone who worked at the restaurant went in to use it, being that they were all people of color, they had to pull napkins out of the towel dispenser to get it to dispense soap, to trick it into dispensing soap, because it wouldn't recognize.
Oh my gosh.
It wouldn't recognize their darker skin on their hands.
Dude, I just now realized there was some sci-fi show I just saw, and they showed a black guy trying to get soap, and it didn't work. And then the white guy said, sorry, went over and tapped it. And I took a completely different meaning from it because I didn't know that
What
story.
was that? I remember. Was that in the Peripheral?
Maybe. I can't remember.
I vaguely remember that. Yeah, but that's a classic example of the reason why you need diversity in this stuff, is that it's not just some woke crap. The fact of the matter is you don't get the right answers to things if you don't have multiple perspectives on this stuff. It just doesn't work. The technology doesn't work. It's like, I'm sure,
Right.
I mean, Lance, you've had this, I'm sure, where people want to say, oh, here's the solution to your problem. Here's the joystick that's going to solve all of your problems. Well, it works 80%.
Or these exercises.
It's
Yeah.
80% of it works for you, but it's like, well, no, if they were designing it with you instead of for you, you would be much closer to what you need in the end. Right. I mean,
just the adaptive technology you had with the iPad. Again, if they had someone who was paraplegic in the room when they were testing that stuff, I'm sure they'd say, "Great, but how do I get it activated or turn it on or turn it off by myself?" Like
that blew my mind. That blew my mind. Like, I'm sorry to be so privileged that it never even occurred to me, but the fact that it couldn't do anything we needed it to do, and was so obviously designed by engineers with their pretentious freaking terms for things, instead of just calling it instead of a switch, a trigger or whatever that. I mean, like, just they came up with all these stupid technical terms for things that were so obviously engineer based, not user based. Specifically, users who are going to be trying to yell at your freaking iPad to do what it's told in the meantime. You know what I mean?
The racist soap also reminded me of a friend of mine. She was doing a year in research in Sweden, and they had come up with this fantastic blood monitor. So basically, like it took a sonogram of your blood going through your arms and was able to measure, heart rate, heart output stuff without being particularly invasive.
Oh wow!
And they got like 90% of the way through the development and talking to companies, and someone's like, "Does it work on people? Does it work on black people?" Like, no,
Oh.
it doesn't. Doesn't work unless you're like
Oh my God!
white as the driven snow. So this technology does because the pigmentation skin blocks it. So basically, if you're in Sweden without a tan, it's fine. But again, just by not having diverse people in the room when you're designing the technology, thinking, will this work on everyone?
Well,
I mean, to be fair, in Sweden, you can just hold a candle up behind somebody and
you can see
see all
through
their
them.
veins.
They're basically invisible. Yeah. The jellyfish of the human world, basically. Yeah. There's that classic Google story about the app that was put as camera app that was put out, and they couldn't figure out why when they put it out to market to test it with large numbers of people, that every 4 or 5 or 6 image would suddenly get switched around in the wrong direction. They couldn't figure out what it was, and it's because there were no left-handed camera users on the development team. They hadn't designed it for using a phone with your left hand instead of your right hand, and or vice versa. I can't remember what it was, and the idea is just that you use the phone when you take a photo. It's in usually a different orientation than it would be the other way around, and they just hadn't taken that into consideration.
So you want them to go back to beating left-handed children?
So I'm saying, why do we have left-handed people? That's what I'm saying. That would be so much cheaper. Look, I'm so sorry to do this because I'm absolutely fascinated by this conversation.
No, I've got to go as well.
No, I have to go first, James.
Okay, you go,
Elizabeth.
James, thank you very much. Elizabeth, likewise, thank you. Yeah, that was fantastic.
I
am gimpy.
He's doing my job right now.
What was that?
I said I don't have to go. GPT's doing my job right now.
There you go.
Well, Elizabeth, I am Gimpy God on Twitter. I don't know if you use it, but I'd love to talk to you about all
Elizabeth
these things going on in the South.
In the South?
Gotcha.
In the what?
Yeah, like how they're removing all the books from the libraries in schools, things like that, or just talking about education and stuff.
Yeah, I don't want to do it when I'm recorded.
That's okay.
Yes, I've worked for some...
No, not recorded.
Anyway,
no.
Yes, I will talk about
Twitter.
What people are saying their values are and what they're actually doing behind doors. I would be love to talk to you about that.
Oh, that's.
I'm sorry.
I want to be a fly on the wall on that. I want to be you guys should definitely. Are you guys? You're both in Discord, right? So you can message that way. Is that right?
No, my kid is in Discord, and I'm stealing his account while he visit me.
Right. Okay. Well, get him to get me your Discord info, and I'll throw that in there as well.
Okay, that sounds
fantastic. All right, everyone. Yeah, I'm afraid I'm just fading a bit. I could feel my.
We'll see you, buddy.
I'm making less sense now. When
are you going to show your results of?
I'm just going to keep taking.
When are you going to show your results of your plant?
I figure I'll just keep bringing them down. I'll just keep bringing them down and showing them off, and we'll see gradually what happens, right? I mean,
as I said in the live thing they did in the Odin, I have so many ideas of how to make this better.
Oh, do you? Oh, great. Well, they're up for that.
Yeah.
They love that stuff.
Yeah.
I know, that's fantastic. Well, tell me.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah.
I'd love to show up there once and actually know something. They're really good. They've got I'll have to find out from Joe how they communicate amongst themselves, whether it's like a Slack channel or a Signal or whatever the hell it is.
They said they use Signal. Yeah, because they're paranoid of the government.
I just want another freaking thing to check. I have so many things to check. You know, I feel like it's just another social media platform that I have to check on. Discord's bad enough. I have a hard enough time trying to keep up with the stuff I've got already. But all right, everybody, be safe, be kind, be brilliant. Till we meet again, I will say cheerio and huzzah! And thank you so much to everybody today. You've all dived in and filled in the giant void that is my lack of knowledge. And of course, Cal, thank you so much for the usual the modding that doesn't require, agrobacteria. Basically, Cal is like our own little agrobacteria, like a little aggregate, but more aggravated, more aggro than bacterial. So thank you, Cal, for as always keeping us safe. Thanks to the chat as well, and we shall chat again soon when I hopefully don't feel like there's a large possum trying to gnaw my brain. That would be nice to get rid of this stupid headache. All right, everyone, have fun. Cheers. Thanks again.